better or more towards one course at the expense of the other course, and that's quite normal. And this is why I seize this opportunity to tell our S4 friends here that the choice of linguistics, literature, applied whatever there is, the choice of a major at the level of S5 and S6 is not conditioned by people's advice. It's conditioned by your choice and the choice of what you love to do. Okay? Follow your heart in this case. Fine? So follow your heart in choosing linguistics. If you think that you can excel in linguistics because you have enjoyed the courses in linguistics and analysis of linguistic data and the technicalities of language, that's a very good thing. Otherwise, if you think you are more into poetry, literature, theater, this is very nice as well. Analyzing cultural issues, this is very good as well. So neither is better than the other. At the end of the day, when you have your diploma and you go for a job or for a master or whatever, what counts is how good or how well you master the English language and how well you master your area of specialization. That's true, Sumia. I confirm. It's a very good company indeed. Okay. أهلا نجلاء. I think this is Najla Zikriwi, I think. Not Zikriwi, I think. Si Mustafa, yeah, that's in response to Sumia. Yeah, that's true. That's what you are saying is, inshallah, نتمنى لهم التوفيق كاملين لهدو. These motivated students see there is a very good potential, and we foresee a very good academic path for all of them, inshallah. So I wish you all the best. What if it's still not clear what path to follow? Well, if you think you are at both, then you will always find, you have what we call the SWOT analysis, l'analyse SWOT, advantages, disadvantages, etc. You will certainly find a motivator behind your balance tipping in favor of this or that area of specialization. Okay, and of course the exams are drawing near, and you will see maybe just in the way you prepare for the exam, some courses will be a pleasure for you to prepare, and other courses might be somewhat of a burden, probably. We hope that this is not going to be the case. I hope you will find everything easy. Okay, but anyway, there will certainly be something that will help you. You see. No, next year, Maram, in the new program, there's room for literature. There is room for literature. Yeah, it's not just cultural studies. In cultural studies, there are, anyway, cultural studies is closer to literature than it is to linguistics. Okay, nice. So Najla says yes. Very nice, very nice. So, okay, nice. For me, I love both linguistics. Look at Sumia. And Tinti, Sumia, you love French, not linguistics, because I saw the way you write French. It's not like the French people. It's even better than French people. Avec un GH. Sorry. Anyway, thank you. I'm just joking. I know that Sumia is a student who, will not mind this way of addressing her. In fact, she has been doing great work with her friends, and she has represented the class, and she has been very active. All right, okay, nice. To the point that I even just on Facebook, I see that she has. I even know the close friends that she has. I can even name them because she's always with them. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, Sumia is a Bowie. Never mind. Can we start now? I think we have 43 people here, and I think to save some energy, we need to start our discussion of morphology. So let's start, please. Yeah, she is Siham's twin. Who is Siham's twin here? Are you serious, or are you talking about the fact that she's doing the same work as Siham with her colleagues, with her friends? Okay, if you are pointing to me, of course. Anyway, I would like to thank you very much for joining and for the trust that you keep put in and in this channel, of course. And I promise that I will do as much as I can to cover as much as I can, so that I can make you understand, the basic issues, the basic points in morphology as much as I can. Ikram says, we have covered with our professor morpheme, allomorphs, roots, and affixes, derivation morphology. That's very good. This is exactly what we're going to do, but the condition is that you write compounding correctly. Thank you. So let's start. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 17 و30 دقيقة غادي نقول قبل 17 دقيقة. Nice. Okay. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are doing well. Today we are going to cover a number of points relating to an introductory course in morphology. The first thing I would like to start with is the idea that a human language has a number of components, and these components are empirically testable. For example, we say that someone has syntactic knowledge, a native speaker has syntactic knowledge, has somehow a competence, a syntactic competence. This is reflected in intuitions about syntactic structures. For example, in Moroccan Arabic, if you say hiya and then you say msha, people will really react to these things. And this reaction is an intuition. And this is evidence enough that the native speaker, that the Moroccan Arabic native speaker, has this syntactic competence. Okay, for phonological competence, if you use Moroccan Arabic, for example, I'm just saying these things very briefly because that's going to be a very good introduction to morphological knowledge. Now, if you talk to a Moroccan Arabic native speaker and you say نهار الاثنين غادي نراسلك نهار الاثنين, you say الاثنين and not الاثنين. So your reaction to the use of you will feel that it's somehow weird. Weird because you unconsciously know that the voiceless interdental fricative in Moroccan Arabic does not exist, especially the Moroccan Arabic spoken in major cities, like Marrakesh, like Casablanca, Rabat, etc. So this shows that native speakers do have intuitions. So these intuitions reflect what? Reflect some sort of competence that native speakers have of their mother tongues. Okay, we talk about sentence well-formedness, sentence ill-formedness, but we can also talk about the phonological structure that is well-formed or ill-formed. Now, apart from syntactic knowledge and phonological knowledge, of course, we have pragmatic semantic knowledge. We also have a very important type of knowledge that native speakers have about their language. This has to do with the structure of words, how words are structured. Okay, if you say الباب ديال الدار, that will be accepted. But if you say دار ديال الباب, what does that mean? For example, that's just a very spontaneous example that testifies to this type of knowledge that of words and their meaning. It's partly semantic, but you can also, if you pluralize, telephone, for example, telephone, the plural is what? Is telefonat in Moroccan Arabic. Just imagine someone comes and says telefonin instead of telefonat. You will burst into laughter, most likely. This means what? This means that you, in your capacity as a native speaker of Moroccan Arabic, you do harbor these intuitions about the way plurals are formed. Okay? Or telefonun. Telefonun. So عندي واحد تليفون, عندي جوج تليفونون. Just imagine you say that. People may not really, may react somehow, either by bursting into laughter or by frowning at you or by asking you to repeat. And this reaction points to the fact that you have said something that is not grammatical. In which case, we can say safely that native speakers do have intuitions about the morphological structures, the word formation, rules of their own language. Now, for the linguist, as is the case with other components of language, linguists are trying. What's the job of the linguist? the job of the linguist is to try to model. What is to model? It's like to take a selfie of the competence. You see, understand it this way. A linguist who is doing syntax and the tree diagrams that we do here and the phonological rules that we do here, these are attempts by human beings, by specialists, by linguists, to take a picture of what we have in mind. So they are using these types of arguments in order to map. I like the word by Si Mustafa, to take a picture, to map el croquis of what's happening in the mind. That's the thing. Okay, so let's come back to the main point. So human language has a number of components. It has a phonological component, it has a syntactic component, it has a semantic component, but it has another important component which relates to how words are formed in languages. Okay, so a given word. So words, if we take a language like English, if you want to produce an idea, then there are high chances for you to use a word and combine it with another word to produce a bigger word with a different meaning, perhaps. If you want to form a new concept, you can take one word and you add something to it, and then you have something else. So that's the job of morphology. So morphology is about word structure, how words are structured, and how the components that form a word submit to certain rules. We'll talk about some of them here. So morphology is the discipline that deals with this type of component of language, which reflects, you see, part of the native speaker's knowledge about the language. It's a portion of language. If you think about language as a circle, then morphology is part of it. It's like a pizza, and then you have something, it's one of these aspects, actually. So what is morphology? Morphology is a discipline that is concerned with the structure of words. This is not like syntax. The job of syntax is not the word. The job of syntax is the sentence. The domain of syntax is the sentence. That's why we have a CP, and the sentence contains the complementizer phrase, the complement C0, an IP, and a specifier. All of these things relate to the structure of a sentence. The sentence being, the unit of analysis in syntax. Now, if in morphology we are not concerned with the behavior of a word in a sentence, because that's the domain of syntax. In morphology, we are concerned with word formation processes and with the structure of words. Now, words. Let's take an example. Of course, like this one here. So you have a word like admit. Admit. I can add to admit ed, and I obtain admitted. And from admit, I can have admissible. Okay, admissible. And from admissible, I can have inadmissible. What am I doing here? I am taking the core part of a word, and I am using extra elements, sometimes to the left, sometimes to the right. So you have this one to the left, this one to the right, to produce new words. Now, if I ask you to dissect inadmissible, you will certainly tell me that inadmissible consists of in, okay, and able, and you have admit, okay, of course, that becoming anyway, so admit, admissible. So we have used we have used in to derive the opposite of admissible, and we have used able to derive the adjective from the verb admit. Okay, good. So can we further subdivide admit or not? Okay, for example, look at this. Look at this. I have admit. Can I divide it further? If I divide it in something like add and mit, what will be the meaning? We cannot subdivide it any further. Why? You listen to this because there is a word that you hear, but you probably do not understand quite well. So this is an opportunity for you to understand it. Okay? So the fact that there are words like admit that we cannot further subdivide into other words is exactly what we mean by the morpheme as being the minimal unit of analysis in morphology. I repeat, the definition of the morpheme is that it's the minimal, the opposite of maximal. So the minimal, it's the smallest that cannot be divided into further words. So it's the minimal unit of analysis, in language. So the linguist cannot subdivide this further. Look at the definition provided by Mr. Khalid. A morpheme is the smallest grammatical unit of language. Smallest, it's exactly what we have here, the smallest unit in the language that carries a meaning. Yes. So this is because this is the smallest unit in a word like inadmissible. The smallest unit we can find is this. And of course, we have other smaller units like in. Can you divide in? You cannot divide. Able cannot divide it. So here we refer to these as morphemes. Okay? When I have something like walked, another example, my friends. So you have walk, and then you have walked. Can I ask you to dissect it into two parts? Okay, you dissect the word into two parts. Then of course you will tell me that there is walk and there is the past tense. Can you dissect walk further? For example, walk and ok? Of course we cannot. So we take this in mind. Bear this in mind, either the word smallest and the word minimal. Minimal is more technical. It's the right word, actually. So the minimal unit of analysis in morphology is referred to as a morpheme, the minimal unit, the minimal part of a word, the smallest part of a word that does not admit any dissecting, any breaking into further elements is referred to as the morpheme. Is that fine or not? Say yes if you understand. Okay. Of course, I would like to say something, please. According to the definition of our friend, I don't remember the name exactly, but it was Khalid, I think. C'est Khalid, I guess. Bon, de toute façon, so a morpheme is the smallest unit that has meaning. It has some meaning. But let me open a bracket, my friends, and start talking about the notion of meaning. What type of meaning do we have? Understand, my friends, that we may have at least two types of meanings. A meaning which is lexical. Okay, lexical. Lexical refers to the words, normal words. Table, it has lexical. It's a lexical meaning. Water, bottle, book, watch, whatever. Walk, beautiful, carefully. All these things, this is lexical meaning because they refer to something. Apart from this, we have what we call grammatical meaning. I am saying this because some students here may not understand this notion of meaning. They will say, for example, why are you telling me that's the minimal unit of analysis and you have s and you call it a morpheme and it does not have meaning? It does not have a meaning which is lexical, but it has a meaning which is grammatical. Why? Because it gives us information about gender, about number, about tense, about aspect, about, you see? So ing, actually, ing is a unit. You have walk, walk in, walk. You know, it's a lexical, it has this lexical meaning because it refers to the act of walking, you know that. But ing refers to it's progressive, it's a morpheme, or the ed, which gives us the information of pastness, or which gives us the information about grammar, about, you know, the grammatical item. Do you understand? Tanween in Arabic, talibun, talib plus un. That's that last thing called on, we'll call it suffix later on, is also is a morpheme. How do we know? Because it gives us a piece of a piece of information. Well, it gives us a meaning. There is a meaning. What type of meaning? What does on mean in Arabic? It does not mean something like walk or talk, but it gives us information that is grammatical in nature. Or of the comparative, you have a lot of examples that you can afford in this regard. All in all, morphology is the branch of linguistics that is concerned with the formation of words. And words in a morphological analysis, that's the basic assumption, the first assumption ever, is the fact that words contain at least one morpheme. So a word can receive, prefixes and suffix, and then you can have, for example, happy, unhappy. In the word unhappy, how many morphemes do we have? We have two. Why? Because I have happy, which means something, and then you have un, which is a prefix that gives me, some information relating to the opposite. It tells me that you have an opposite. You got the point or no? It's thanks to these things that we have a difference between understanding someone who says, I like you, and someone who says, I dislike you. So we have to know that this, when attached to a word like, you see, produces the opposite. So this is a morpheme and like is a morpheme. Is that fine? We are coming to those things. We are coming to those things, my friends. Is that fine here? You know what a morpheme is? Why do we call it a minimal unit of analysis, or the smallest component of a given word? It's because you cannot subdivide it into further components. That's it. So it's good that you have got this point. Sikharit says morphology is the branch of linguistics that studies the structure, the formation, and of course, yes, there is this classification or taxonomy of words. It deals with how words are formed. Thank you very much. That's absolutely right. Okay, now what we do know is that, you listen to me, you follow, and you bear with me when it comes to the noise that is emitted by the board. Nice. So we have a morpheme here. Morpheme. Nice. Very good. Very good. Yes. Morpheme. Just imagine we have a word like, wait a minute, bus. Let's say bus. Can I say that bus is a morpheme? Answer, yes, I can. Yes, because this is the minimal unit and it means something. You see? Can I subdivide? How many morphemes do we have here? How many morphemes do we have here? We have one morpheme. Thank you. This is a morpheme. Okay, good. Nice, nice. Now, think of this word, my friends. Buses. Okay, now you have to. Now, if you have a word like buses, can you produce bus without is? Yes, this is the proof. Okay, but can you produce is without bus? Just imagine in a text, you have blah, 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 and then you have is here, and then you have that in English. is بوحدها هكا. فقنا في الصباح لقينا اس هكا. in English. That's not possible. That's not possible. And this is the reason why we are talking about bus as being, yeah, in German, yes, in Spanish as well. This is called a free morpheme. This is a free morpheme, a good example of a free morpheme. Why is it a free morpheme? It's a free morpheme because it does not depend on anyone to support it. It does not need to stick to anyone. You see, bus is there. Tomis or Tomis. You get that or no? But for morphemes like s, s, they always need to attach to a word. Okay? They always need to attach to a word. You have book. Can it stand on itself? Yes, of course. The book. That's fine. But can I have just s like that? S? You cannot have s as a word. You see? Very good. So we can distinguish, Najla is laughing, perhaps at this. Just imagine you have this in the exam. So here, in the exam, in a text, morphemes can be free morphemes. So we have a first distinction between a morpheme which is free. This is a free morpheme. A free morpheme can stand autonomously. A free morpheme is called free morpheme because it does not need to lean, to lean on any other thing. If you come, if S comes, welcome. If it does not come, to hell with it. So bus can be a bus. But there are certain other morphemes that always, okay, for example, Uthman is given Zarius. What does that mean? Okay, so here we are talking about a list of morpheme. For example, I give you the example of ed and the here and the ing, and of course you have the list. These cannot be independent. They cannot be like these. These can be in a text, for example. You can write space before, space after without a problem. That's true, nuni, nunus, yes. So, but this one, no. So we refer to this as a free morpheme. Sorry, a bound morpheme. Bound. Why do we call it bound? Bound is the past participle of the verb to bind. It binds, it has to bind. Okay, so it's a bound morpheme. Okay, a bound morphemes are these. Okay, so these need to stick to someone, to some word, to a word. They need to stick to a word, so they are a bound morpheme. Why? Because you will never find them like this. Fine, it's like dependent. Thank you, Najla. It's one way of saying that. It's a dependent morpheme. This is an independent morpheme. And an independent is a free morpheme. It's not bound by anything. It's not constrained. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting, of course. So you got this, my friends? Say yes if you have understood this. Nice. Okay. An exercise. An exercise. Look at these, please. This is a quick exercise. Okay. Tell me how many morphemes each word has and which morpheme is bound and which one is free. So Sumia and Uthman, wait a minute, why three? So heads, how many? So for heads, he has two morphemes. Very good. Undecided. Well, how many in undecided? So you have decide, you have decided, and then you have undecided. Three. You have decide. Decide. Can I subdivide this? I cannot. I don't have a word like D in English and side with a C in English. No. So here you have N, and then you have decide, and then you have ED. Very good. Now, how about interestingly? Interestingly, yes, interestingly. Oh, sorry, Kamal. Kamal, لا لا اسمح لي. See, Kamal, if you have, because I rarely look at the comments. I'm so sorry. Mr. Kamal, would you kindly paste again what you have requested? I'm so sorry. Mr. Kamal, it looks like you are asking something important, and I did not notice that. I'm really sorry. Umayma, thank you for making it. Thank you. Si Hassan Fitri is with us here. Ah, it's good. نورتي لينا اللايف سي حسن. Thank you for making it. Okay, I'm very happy. ماشي. So here, interestingly, ديال اشرب هاد المورفيمات. Interestingly, no. نجلة. Beyond the book. Interestingly, look at beyond the book. Look at beyond the book. Look at Natalie again. لا والو سي كمال. Tell me قالك. Tell me what you have there. So what you want to say. Never mind. So you have interesting. شوف. If you it's not because you have in here اسمعوا مزيان هذه عافاكم it's not because you have in here بحال inadmissible. No. Why? It's because you don't have tiristin. You do have a word like tiristin. Do you say this is tiristin? You know, the course was very tiristin. Can you say that? No. It means that this in is part of this. Okay? So you have interest, and then you have interesting, and then you have the adverb. So we have used ing to derive the adjective. This is interesting, opposite boring. And of course, you have li, this is the adverb of manner. So interestingly is the adverb of manner. Have you got the point? So now let's identify the free morphemes and the bound morphemes here. Heads. So head is what? Is a free morpheme, of course, and s is a bound morpheme. Undecided, decide is the free morpheme because it's the one that, but n is bound and id is bound also. Now for interestingly, so the free morpheme is interesting, interest, and so I repeat. For interesting is the free morpheme, ing is the bound morpheme, and li is also the bound morpheme. Now, my friends, if you think that you have understood the difference between a bound morpheme and a free morpheme, type 1. يلا I should see ones here. Nice. Very good. Nice. Very nice. All right. Big one. Thank you, Kamal. Thank you. Very nice. Very good. All right. Thank you. That's fine. This necessitates a sip of water. Okay. Now, tell me, please. Thank you. Tell me. شوف French, please. No French, please. Because you use French better than the French native speakers. You managed to write a hope avec un G. I will forever say these things. Okay. Thank you. Never mind. Now you listen, you watch me while I expose an example here. Okay. Let's say let's say this. Let's say this. Like. Okay. Then, of course, from like, we can have likes, we can have dislike. You listen to me, please, here. Okay, we can have this. And you may have unlike, but we are not going to talk about that. Oh, no, we can talk about it. Let's say, you know. Okay, unlike. All right, good. So, like here, can we call it like a free morpheme? Yes, we can. S and this and an are bound morphemes. This is one distinction. So morphemes can be distinguished on whether they are bound or free, but there is another dimension along which we can distinguish them. We can distinguish morphemes, types of morphemes, in two ways, depending on whether they are free or bound. I think you know it now, but we also have another way of separating two types of morphemes. So like, okay, so the set here gives us what information? Gives us what information? Tell me, you answer my question. The set in likes gives us what information? The set of likes gives us information about tense, because it tells us, surely we know that this has to do with the simple present. But it can also tell us that this is the third person singular. Okay, nice. So, my friends, you listen to me, please. You listen. When I say likes, she likes, have I produced a new meaning, a new word, or is it the same word that has some coloring? Have I derived a new word? No. So here we are talking about this morpheme like said, because we are not changing the syntactic category and we are not changing the meaning. Okay, we are not saying, for example, that it's an opposite, or so we call this an inflectional morpheme. So S is inflectional morpheme. Inflectional. شوف كيفاش كتبت هذا الشيء. That's the influence of French. You see? المهم عارفين inflection. Inflectional. No, it's not clear. I'm not supposed to assume that everyone knows. So I will write it here. Inflectional. Inflectional. In French, since we have a French lady here, someone who speaks French, it's called un morphème flexionnel, et ça s'écrit avec un X. Okay, nice. So we have an inflectional morpheme. Can you give me an example of an inflectional morpheme, please? When I say walk in, that's also because ing does not produce another category, does not produce another meaning. So working, so ing here is also an inflectional morpheme. The ed of the simple past is also an inflectional morpheme. In other words, all morphemes that give us grammatical information are called inflectional morphemes. You understand? So when you have ing, you have you have the genitive, the s. For example, you say Mustafa's thesis, Mustafa, and then you have apostrophe s. This one is not derivation, it's also an inflectional because it marks the genitive case. You see? Yeah, nice. So you have that. And in Arabic, all the paradigm you have كتبت, كتبت, كتبتي, كتبتما إلى آخره. So all these inflections in Arabic, u and a, e, etc. na, كتبنا, كتبتم إلى آخره. So all these are called inflectional morphemes. All in all, what is an inflectional morpheme? An inflectional morpheme is a morpheme, you know what it is now, it's the minimal unit that has grammatical meaning, that reveals grammatical information, either referring to tense, to aspect, to person, to gender. In some languages, like Arabic, for example, you can have a talibani, a talibatani. You see? So these are inflectional morphemes because you are deriving the dual المثنى from the singular. See, have that. Okay. Now we are done with this type of inflectional morpheme. So S is a good case of an inflectional morpheme. Can you think, ladies and gentlemen, of the other type of, in the second word, you have dislike. Okay, نزيدوا ليها هذه باش نعقدوها شي شوية. Although life is already complicated, as I keep saying. So this here, when I say dislike, so I have this, and then I have like, it means I have the total opposite. Yes or no? لا يستويان. If someone tells you I like you, it's not like he or she tells you I dislike you. A new meaning has been created. Yes or no? So we are using a morpheme here. We will talk about it later on, its name. Hold on. And then we have, in using this type of morpheme, that type of bound morpheme, it's a bound morpheme لأن ما يمكنش يكون عندي un text فيه this بوحدها. No. So it's a bound morpheme, but it gives us a new word. We have used this to derive الاشتقاق. We derive a word from another word. Happy and happy is a very good illustration. You have the word happy, you have used an, and then you produced a new word. Why do you say تدلح there? Why are you saying that? Is it because this is the period where watermelon industry, trade is thriving? Okay, nice, good. So this one is a bound morpheme, but it's a derivational morpheme. It changes the meaning. Hajar Rawan says yes, and of course this one here is called a derivational morpheme. Derivational morpheme. Derivational. I have to write it here. Derivational. Sumia will say derivational. I'm sure she will tell people like that, and I know. Okay, the derivational morpheme. Okay, good. So this is it. Maram is the eyes in the word criticize. A derivational or inflection? No, that's a derivational. You know why? Maram, you are asking a good question. It's a derivational morpheme because one of the characteristics of derivational morphemes is the changing of the category of the word. So, Maram, the word criticize, you have critic, and then you have size. It's the verb. It's like you have a morpheme, and then you have energy, energize. You see, energy is the verb, and energize is the derived word, which is the verb. Okay, energy is the noun. Sorry, did I say it's a verb or the noun? I'm sorry. Let me repeat. Energy is a noun, and you add eyes, it becomes another category. So whenever, look at this. So whenever there is a change of syntactic of category, let's call it category, noun, verb, we refer to them as categories. So part of speech, okay? So you can refer to them as categories or part of speech, okay? So criticize, energy, energize, and so on and so forth. Yes, that's true, Maram, that's true. So so keep this in mind, please. As long as a bound morpheme has the capacity either of changing the syntactic category, the part of speech, or has the capacity of producing a new word, a new meaning. You see? A new lexical meaning. Like is not dislike. Happy is not unhappy. So we refer to these types of morphemes as derivational morphemes. If, on the other hand, the bound morpheme gives you only grammatical information, does not change the category, and does not create a new meaning. If there is a meaning, it's just grammatical. For example, if you have a present, it can make it a past, but the verb is still the same. Like and liked. You see, likes and liked, s and ed, these are also bound morphemes. But are they inflectional or derivational? They are inflectional. Why? Because they neither change the syntactic category, the verb is still the verb. And they do not produce any other meaning, because walk, did I say walk or talk or whatever? It's still talk, it's still walk. You see? Nice. So, Maram, thank you for that important question. Ikram, do it exist always in the end? No, Ikram, not always at the beginning. In English, it happens to be at the end. In English, but there are languages we will see in Amazigh, for example, in Moroccan Arabic, when you say غادي يمشي ولا غيمشي, غدا غيسافر, غا, it's inflectional morpheme, because غيسافر, you see, you are not producing, it's safar, غيسافر. You have added something, but you have added an inflectional morpheme. Like and likeness are also inflectional. No, they are not inflectional. They are derivational. Sikamal, they are not inflectional, because you have changed the syntactic category. Like is a preposition, you call it, or you can think of it as a verb, whatever you think of it. You have likeness here, which is a noun. You see? So here, there is a derivation. Is there any infixes in English? I'll talk about that, Mr. For Gaming. Yes. Very good. So I'll talk about Clara Mercedes es con nosotros aquí. Sea la bienvenida. All right. Clara says, greetings, Professor. I love when someone aspects are related to Spanish. It makes things easier to me. Yes, of course, I can even provide examples from the Spanish language. With great pleasure, Clara. It's a pleasure to have you with us here. Okay, Clara is a student, who is, she's a serious student, and she makes it funny sometimes in the classroom when she asks questions that one day I forgot I started using chunks of Moroccan Arabic. I said, well, I don't understand Moroccan Arabic, but after I found out that she knows Moroccan Arabic very well. Okay, so you are welcome. Thank you. We move on, please. So, shall I assume that you have no problem with the difference between an inflectional morpheme and a derivational morpheme? Type 1, there, type 1. Or 2. إلا ما فهمتوش شي حاجة, type 2. Very good, Yes, 1 إلى آخره. Very good, thank you. And now with the big event, there is a segment in morphology that we all enjoy. This has to do with the word formation processes. أهلا أستاذة أميمة. She is with us here. Dr. Umayma. You see? Hi, Dr. Mustafa Morshid, Dr. Umayma. Inshallah, everyone here will be doctors. Just tell us and invite me for your defenses so that I can have a cup of tea with you there and enjoy the defense. So I wish you all the best. Thank you. Nice. So let's move on to the big part. The best part, that's true. That's very nice. Inshallah, I wish you all the best. It takes only motivation. See, we say qui cherche trouve. That's Soumia can tell you qui cherche trouve. Where there is a will, there is a way. That's what we say in English. So be motivated, concentrate on what you're doing. Inshallah, things will be all fine. All right. Nice. Nice. So let me move on to a section called word formation processes. It's a very good branch in morphology. Okay. Word formation processes. how words are formed in languages. What is interesting about this is that some word formation processes exist across languages. Some languages differ, but there is something basic about that. There is this idea that languages share much of or many of these, processes we are going to talk about. The first, what do we mean by word formation processes? Ladies and gentlemen, that every after a specific period of time in all languages of the world, because human beings have always been like that. It's a salient feature of humanity because we are not stagnant, because we are dynamic, because we interact, because there are new realities that emerge. Therefore, we need to talk about those realities. So we need new words to express our thoughts, our feelings. I don't know. You see, our reaction to new inventions, just think of words that relate to technology. Now, if you ask your grandfather, for example, who is aged maybe 80 or 85, if they are still alive, little فالله يرحمه الفصل. And then you talk about click. حطوا حداك زعما جيبوا يجلس حداك وقول ليه كليكي لي هنايا ولا قول له لابليكاسيون ولا قول له. You see, so because these words are completely new to him. Why? It's like that. It's like that. It's like that. In Moroccan Arabic, I know that there are young people who are referring to each other as Sat. Wafina Sat. That's at least in the region of Rabat Saleh, Wafina Sat. This Sat here was inexistent a few decades ago. The proof is that your grandfather does not use this word and did not know what the word is. In my times, I still remember when I was a student faculty, people were referring to each other as Laoud. What a metaphor. You see? All right. Nice. Nice. Okay. But they are referring to that anyway, whatever the case. Bro. Oh, thank you. Look at what Nuni Nunus has reminded us of. The word bro is very recent. The word bro is very recent. Afina bro. You see? It's recent, of course. Nice. So good. So languages have a number of strategies to produce new words, to express their feelings, their emotions, to express themselves, to express ideas in general. Khoya has always been the case. Clara says Khoya. Clara, understand that Khoya is for the masculine, not the feminine. Okay. All right. Maram says that as well. It's good to analyze these things. Okay. So languages need to replenish. It means to fill in the gaps. There are gaps in vocabulary. So languages need to fill them. Just imagine that there is a new, invention. For example, let's take just the internet, like computer, PC, you see, telephone or whatever. So it's because one language has the word and another language does not have it. Native speakers generally resort to the word as it exists in another language and they take it. Okay, they borrow it. So the first word formation process is referred to as borrowing. You know what borrowing is. You borrow money from someone. You can borrow something from someone. You see? So languages also borrow words from other languages. Okay? Spanish, for example, since Clara is with us here, Spanish has borrowed massively from Arabic. If you want to say an olive in Spanish, it's aceituna. Aceituna comes from zitun. If you want to say the pillow, it's almohada, comes from al-mukhadda. You see? If you want to say a zayt, it's athati, the oil. You see? Aceituna, zayd al-muhada, you have a lot. You have a lot. Cotton for cotton, etc. And Arabic has borrowed a lot from Spanish as well. And this is the nature of languages. Languages are destined to influence each other. You see? Where there is language contact, there is this mutual influence of languages. السكر الثكر, that's true, you are right. سمية and سي مصطفى كلمة سكر أيضا, very good, that's true. Cuisine, etc. You have a lot of things. So borrowing is evident, yes or no? Now there is, so people do not stop here, my friends. You listen to me now. Borrowing does not, this direction in morphological analysis does not stop here. It does not just identify which comes from where, but it goes further than this. But this is not going to be our discussion here. Just to let you know, there are doctoral theses on borrowing, but it's what happens when you borrow a word. How do you transform it? How do you nativize it? You see, I don't know. That's called adaptation. Adaptation. Sometimes you have a word a word in French which has u, the famous word u, which is phonetically written like this. For example, confiture. Confiture. What happens to u in confiture? To this one here, the u is the high front rounded vowel. What happens to it in Moroccan Arabic? It's because we don't have this sound in Moroccan Arabic. We need to adapt it to the nearest sound, which is ou. كاين اللي كيقول confiture لا سي confitir, because of the vowel harmonic process, because you have fi, confi, and then tir. You see, so you have these things. This is just an example. Do not worry about that, because that's probably, it's not as confiture, that's a vowel harmonic process, but that's somehow advanced for an S4 student. Or so in this case, all that you are responsible for, my friends, is this borrowing. There is this borrowing, and the languages borrow from each other. That's all. In French, you have le weekend, you have le parking, you have other things. That's a good case in point. This can happen due to cultural exchange. That's true. Yes, Amina, you are right. Colonization, technological advancements. I absolutely agree with you. And sometimes, Amina, let me add to this, but I think you say that in cultural exchange, but sometimes it's through mass media, of course, because people are, there are people who will listen to rap music, and they are exposed to informal, spoken English, watch films, etc. Probably like bro. It comes from, I think, because it's mentioned in rap music so frequently. That's why or from films and soap operas, etc. Okay, so you know what borrowing is. Let's move on. So languages, not only, by the way, so we have the source language and the host language. The host is it's like Spanish in relation to Arabic. Afituna, from Zaytun, so Arabic is the source language, and the host language is Spanish. I think you need to know these words. Now let's move on to the second way of borrowing words. Sometimes it just so happens that languages decide, linguists or the people, managing the language, decide to invent words. For example, when this was invented, this type of tissue paper, maybe because they were more concerned with cleaning, and it was invented to clean, to wipe things. When you are, you have a fluid to clean the nose, etc. That's why. So they called it Kleenex. You see, the same thing for a word like Xerox. There are other words, of course, that were invented just like that. In the Amazigh language, since we have to talk about, also our Moroccan, context, in the Amazigh language, especially what we refer to as Standard Amazigh, is a language where there is a lot of invented words. Invented words. I'm talking about the language that is now taught at school. Why? It's because there is new pedagogical vocabulary that did not exist because the Amazigh has for centuries been only a spoken language. So it did not have these tools for teaching. There's no notion for blackboard, for the pen, for the title, for text, paragraph. These did not exist. You see? So what happened? People made effort, of course, and now there are dictionaries, of course, and they try to invent those words based, of course, on the morphological structure of the language. Yeah, for example, the Royal Institute for the Amazigh Culture, did a great job in this regard. So here we are talking about what Natalie has rightly referred to as coinage, and also Sumia, yes, coinage. Coinage comes from the verb to coin. What am I doing? أنا يحتاج المعودة كما تقول تعويضة. Okay, very good. Coinage. No, okay, coinage. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This I'm lost. Yeah, coinage. Yes, that's it. So coinage comes from the verb because I was thinking of to coin. To coin does not take any. So yeah, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, etc. Now they are becoming part and parcel of our own vocabulary. So anyway, coinage is the fact of producing new words, and of course, these new words have another name, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the new name is it's called a neologism. Neologism. Who produces them, Sumaya? Either, when we talk about formal languages, school language, it's the linguists, the people who are responsible for language planning, preparing the language for it to be taught. Yeah, that's neologism. Mercedes Rivas Clara, let's call it Clara. Okay. And the new words are referred to neologisms. Neologisms. Here, the new words are referred to neologisms. Neo is the prefix meaning new. Logisms, logos, new thing that stands to mind, etc. Not lay people. Sometimes lay people can do that. Yes, of course, lay people can also contribute to this. Just imagine, Sumia, just in agriculture, for example, in the field of agriculture, a new instrument is invented. So they need to give it a name by maybe introducing a prefix to indicate the doer of the action or the instrument for doing something, etc. So you have that, So not only educated people, but also lay people can have that. And this is tested in all languages. Kleenex was not invented by people, responsible for the forming of dictionaries, but by probably because it was a brand at the beginning. It was a brand, and later on it turned out to be, because there is this accidental gap. We call it not accidental, we call it lexical gap. There was this lexical gap that has to be filled, and طبيعة تخشى الفراغ. So you have to have a word there. Okay, nice. We have another process for, that's a lexical gap. That's true. What's the difference between coinage and eponyms? I'm afraid I have no idea about eponyms. Let me check. Yeah. I just did not. It never occurred to me to teach this, honestly. But an eponym, that's true. Sometimes you have an eponym. I don't know if our friends here cover. If you have covered in class, you have to know it. Yeah, an eponym like this. An eponym. A very famous example, by the way, is what happened a long time ago. There was this governor called the Earl of Sandwich, the Sandwich Island. Okay, this governor of the Sandwich Island was an addict of Gambling. He was a gambler, a great gambler. Every time he was gambling. And his لا ماشي acronyms نجلة أنا جاي acronyms. No. But I'm explaining to you. I'm explaining to you. All right. So the story of this Earl of Sandwich Islands, was a gambler, was a die-hard gambler, to the point that when he did not even have time to stop in order to go to eat and come back. So the people working for him in the kitchen, would call him that the table is ready, and he would put those things and come back, but he did not find pleasure in that. So one day it occurred to him to realize that one way of doing it is to ask those people to open a bread, to divide a loaf of bread into two and put everything inside and bring it to me, so that he will not lose time. So he would eat and put it aside and try to gamble and eat again, etc. So this is and that's why this sandwich was named after him. Okay. You also have a verb. Can I give you another example, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, Bluetooth. Yes. It was named after a Danish king. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Now the other example is the verb. There is a verb in English called. I told my S4 student about it once, or S6. This one here, to blarney. In English, it's a verb. It's rare, it's infrequent. Don't use it. You may know it anyway. But I'm just illustrating this eponym that Maram has talked about. To blarney is a verb. Where does it come from? This originates in a stone in Ireland. You see, Ireland or Scotland. Anyway, I think it's an Irish stone. Blarney. Is it Ireland? Let me just check. Okay, that's Ireland. Yes, that's Ireland. It's a stone in Ireland, and popular belief has it that if you kiss the stone in a specific way, you have to be reversed and try to reach out to a specific part of the stone and kiss it, I think 7 times or so. And if you do that, you will be able to convince anyone of anything. You will be not just talkative, but talkative in a convincing way. So that's the word to blarney. That's an eponym because it comes. You don't do, Somia, all that you need to do is write your French, in the way you write it. So you are very convincing like that. Where the stone is in Ireland, just type on Google the Blarney stone, and you will, hear, things, relating to this. The area is called Blarney, but that's mythical, of course. That's mythical. Okay. Nice. I remember that. Yeah, I told you, in S4. So. Good. So that's an eponym. So an eponym is named after a person or a place, and coinage is a word that did not exist before. It's just invented from scratch, from point zero. Okay, because there is a need for a word. And now comes the point where we will no مازال نديروا 3. هنايا number 3, acronym. What is an acronym? An acronym is not an abbreviation. Said says saxophone. The Adolf Sax, the Belgian instrument maker who invented the saxophone. That's very nice. It's good. We have so many, things to enjoy. That's one of the advantages of doing linguistics. Okay, we discover. So an acronym, ladies and gentlemen, an acronym is not an abbreviation. What's the difference between an acronym and abbreviation? First difference is that an acronym is a word formation process. An abbreviation is not. It's just a shortening of the word. So let me give you an example of abbreviation. So when I write something like this is an abbreviation of the verb abbreviation. So I have abbreviated abbreviation. You know what it means. Okay, nice. Acronym is a form of coinage. لا لا مرام لا 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 أشوف. Number two, number three. Number two, number three. مرام. Acronym is different. Coinage is different from acronym. All right. Nice. So 1, 2, 3. Acronym. Acronym means that's true. That's true, Natalie. That's true, everyone. Let me explain to you what acronym means. Multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions. And they are the acronym is MCQ. They are types of questions. They are called MCQ. Okay, you have so many. You have so many, of course. You have the famous ones like the UNICEF. What is UNICEF? UNICEF means United Nations International Children Emergency Fund. You have words like DNA, like the FIFA. That's true. You have a lot of words. So what happens in, just for you not to confuse, things in an acronym, we generally take the initial means the first letter of a word and combine it with the second and with third, and we collect those capitalized words and we form one single word. So the capitalized letters, and we form a single word. That's true. You have yeah, that's true. Very good. Yeah. All of the things that I have seen here. Let's take, for example, ERCAM. ERCAM, it's what? It's Institut. For I, it's Institut. The R is Royal. C is for la culture. Am, c'est pour Amazir. So it's good. TESOL, EFL, OCP, etc. Very good. Very good. So I agree with you with these things. NA, what it stands for Nordin Amrus or for non-applicable. Okay, thank you, Natalie. Thank you. All right, yeah, USA for the United States. So you know what an acronym is? You know that you should not, in abbreviation, you take a word and you write just the first two letters of it. Mister, for example, or whatever. That's an abbreviation. Number, you write just N. That's an abbreviation. But acronym, you have a series of words and you take the first letter from each and you combine them, write them in capital. That's acronym. Maram, do you understand? Tell me, please. Okay, good. That's number 4. Yeah, Professor, PR is the abbreviation. That's also for prof. That's true. Si Mustafa, PR. Yeah, that's true. Let me correct this. مناسبة نعود هذه الفكرة هذه. Prof is the abbreviation of for professor in English. PR is the abbreviation for professeur in French. Okay, madam, but acronyms are technically a new word formation, which is what coinage is. No, it's not a new word formation. No, it's a strategy. So let me explain to you, madam. I like the fact that you are interacting. This is really nice. So please, we should not leave this point until you tell me that things are fine. Yes or no, madam? Good. Let me start over. Okay, you listen to me, madam, and of course the rest of our friends in here. Point 1, main point. Languages have different strategies to form new words, to come up with words, because they need them. Because we are humans, we need new words. One strategy, a language, imagine a language like a human being. One language, for example, some languages decide in some cases to go to its neighbor. أجي لنا أعطيني ذاك الكلمة. That's borrowing. You see? There are languages that have this pride and this l'orgueil, means they don't ما كيرضاوش يمشيو يجيبوا من عند الناس اخرين. يقول لك لا, I have to coin my own language. So what do? They set strategies to create a new word. Okay? For example, the radio in Amazigh, it was created as what? As Anzwoui. And the word did not exist before in Amazigh. So in Amazigh, it was always radio. But, there is this coinage to make of it an original, Amazigh word, etc. So you can create, you yourself, Maram, you can create a word. For example, if I have a phone, let me tell you, if I have a phone that projects any film on the wall, on the nearest wall, you just show it to the wall, that's possible. Excuse my spontaneity. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. So you have a phone, you direct it to the wall, and it projects your favorite film. Just imagine, Maram, that you have this type of phone. Let's test this together. عندي telephone, I have it. One of the properties of this phone is that when you point it to the wall, it projects your favorite film. It can read your mind, I don't know. C'est un peu de la science-fiction, mais ça sert comme exemple. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, how would you call this device in the comments? يلا. ابدعوا. Tell me, how would you call this phone? A phone that you project, you put in front of the wall, just like you set it like that, facing the wall, any wall. Look at this. Natalie says it's called mind phone. You see, mind phone. What else? Choose a word, perhaps, But let's see, I'll talk about that. Let's answer this question. Give it a word. ماشي بالضروري يكون فيه المصطلح phone, زعما party phone. You see? Give me a words. Including you, Maram. Tell me, how would you call this device? تيلي. مي تيلي ما بغيت شي تيرم ما فيهش الاثر ديال لا التليفون لا شي حاجه. سيل راه كاينه السيل. We have cell, Clara. We have cell. Project. Choose words that are, you don't understand. Teleprojector. We have projector باش ما نطيحوش في d'autres stratégies. Yalla, tell me, use your mind and, and produce something. A telephone that you show to the wall and it projects your favorite film. Now, if you are serious about that, help. If you are not, then tell me that you are not. لا خلينا سي عثمان من هذاك الشيء الله يخليك. لا شوف, we cannot, it does not, بلاتي, this does not submit to the English rules first. So that's not a possible word, because an invented word satisfies the morphological and phonological constraints of the language. Phonjector, that's another strategy. I need a new thing, completely different. Can't you combine 2 or 3 words? Mario, no, I'm sorry. No, that's you are disappointing me now. Now, Mario, you are disappointing me. Look at this. My question is, so what I'm asking you to do is to produce a word that has never existed before, because you have something that you have never heard of before. Let's say, look at Saeed. شوفوا معايا سعيد. Saeed has used the word spork. We can call this spork. You are لا ما خدمش. So spork for spoon and fork. نجلة لاسلكي, but that's Arabic again. رباش لا شوف, you are not pedagogical, my friends. اخباركم ولا لا? You are not pedagogical. قبلوها مني. Vous n'êtes pas pédagogique. علاش؟ شوفوا معايا. محمد ونعيم. محمد yes. Clara yes. Sumia yes. Very good. أنتم وليتوا pedagogical. Now, if Maram can listen to us, can hear us now, let me tell you, Maram, that we have a new invention. We have a new invention. ما تبقوش تلعبوا معايا الله يخليكم. يا دي فوا كتعصبوني شي شويه صراحه. يا دي فوا انا كنقول لكم هذا كتقولوا مشكوف وهذا. This is not serious. I'm really sorry. يا دي فوا we have to joke, yes, but they are. And I am struggling. You don't know how much I suffer. You know, I make a lot of effort just to make our friend understand. And you كتقول المشكوف كتقول no, my friends, no, please don't do that. Okay, so بلاتي نقراو عافاكم. شوفوا قراو صافي you stop please. محن ونعيم تيثك. Very good. You know, this one, can we call it possibly tithic? Yes. Does it submit to the rules of English? Yes. So just imagine that I have invented this phone and I project it and it shows the film. What do you call it? Is that a smartphone? No, 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 that's not a smartphone. That's a tithic. You see, you have it. So this is called coinage. This is coinage. Very important suggestions by Clara. Blue. You can call it blue, just like that. It's a word that is invented. What does this word mean? It means that it's referred. Is it a phone? No, it's a blue. It does not refer to the, it's not a smartphone. And then you have other. Look, Sumia says not. Very good. I like that. Not. Is this a phone? No, it's not. Is it a note or not? No, it's not a note. It's just a smartphone. You see. Now, let me tell you, my friends, that Maram, I need your response, Sarah, because I have made enough effort to explain to you. So I need your response here, please. Do you know what coinage means? Maram understood, Professor. So this is one strategy, made by languages. This is a strategy that we find in languages. Native speakers, when there is an invention, they sometimes choose to invent a completely new word. Maybe a word that does not relate to what we do with it. That's why I did not like. I rejected just for this example, phone something, because that's another process. You understand or no? So here what we are illustrating is coinage. A word like مشكوف ما دخلش هنايا. It's not possible because it does not, comply with the phonological and morphological structure of the English language. The q sound does not exist in the inventory of English. So please, okay. Yeah, of course there is a tacit agreement, of course. شوف سي سعيد and the rest. When there is a need for a word, it's enough to launch it if there is a new invention. Look at it. Do you know, my friends, and I'm just referring to the point raised by Sisaid Hanaya. Do you know what this was called at the beginning, way back in the late 90s, mid and late 90s? هذا ما كان سميتو بورتابل. هذا ما كان سميتو بورتابل. في الأول كاع كان كيتسمى التليفون ديال اليد. تليفون ديال اليد. راه عنده تليفون ديال اليد. واحد شويه. A little later, it used to be called le portatif. Est-ce que tu as le portatif? هكذا le portatif. Et après ولات portable. Et après ولات smartphone. You see? So it's like that, okay? Never mind, Uthman. I was really, it was called handy, cell, etc. You are right. Thank you. Nice. Okay. Good. So are we? So for coinage, it's okay. Now for acronym, it's different. شوفوا معايا. Just imagine you have something like this. Imagine we call the device a film projecting device. Let's call it not even a phone or a gadget. Imagine the inventors refer to it as a phone projecting, a film projecting gadget. Film projecting gadget. It's what Sumia has called DOFT or something, and I don't know. There have been some names that are real names. Real means they are right answers. They are real coin word possible words for this device. That's one strategy, madam. That's one strategy. One strategy is to think up a new word. Another strategy to refer to this word or to any is what? It's to use the original name which happens to be long. And because we humans, we are lazy, we do not produce all words. You see? We take the initials, an acronym. I will produce an acronym here. So I take Phil, I take P, and then I take G. So you have an FPG, an FPG. You see, Maram has bought an FPG. She went to the States and she came back with a very good FPG. You see, is it like a smartphone? No, it's different. You got the point now, Maram? Do you know the difference between coinage and acronym? You know the difference between coinage and acronym? Maram and the rest, of course. Nice, very good. Okay, move on. Let's move on. Okay, now, شوف, the listings that I have here, 1, 2, 3, and we will have 4, 5, etc. These are different ways a language can create a word. Question: if one language decides on borrowing, will it always borrow? No. It borrows some words, yes. Some words, it coins them. Other words, it uses them, it creates an acronym for them. For other words, there is what we call, now that's number 4. Very interesting. So let me write number 4 here. We are talking about affixation. So 4, we are talking about affixation. Affixation. The adaptation is part of borrowing. It's part of the, these are strategies, of course. These are all strategies, 1, 2, 3. 4, we have more, of course. Affixation. What is an affix? Now I need your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So when you have like, okay, you have like, let's say the verb to like. Okay. Now, if I want to conjugate to show that it's a simple past, the verb is in the simple past, I can add ed. So I have liked. And of course, I have, okay, this to produce the opposite. Earlier on, we made the point, the first distinction is between a free morpheme and bound morphemes, because this one can exist alone, these do not. Number 2, this is an inflectional morpheme because it tells us grammatical information. And this one here is a derivational morpheme because we use it to derive the opposite. Now, we refer to this like here, we call it the root. The root means the core part of the word. It's called the root. So this one here is a root. Think of the root as the head of the noun phrase, for example. It's the most important one. It's the basic one. The basic one from which other words are derived. It's called the root. Okay. Bottle is a free morpheme. Where is the root? It's bottle, because we don't have other, it's the root. Okay. Bottles, bottle is the root. Disinterested, interest here is the core, so it's the root. You add to it. So a word like disliked contains 2 types of elements. It contains a root and anything that attaches to to the root, the core part of a word, to the left or to the right. Anything that is attached to the word to the left or to the right is referred to as an affix. Okay? Is this an affix? Yes, it is. Why? It's because it's attached to the word. Is this an affix? Yes, because it attaches to the word. Is this an affix? No, it does not attach to anything. العكس, other elements attach to it, so it's the root. Do you understand, my friends, or you don't understand, my friends? Okay. So let's move on, please. Okay, so we have this affixation. So one strategy that languages use to produce a new word is to resort to affixation. Affixation. So the opposite of liked is disliked. So you have liked and you affix something to it and it becomes disliked. So you introduce a new morpheme. So morphemes can also be classified as whether they are roots or they are affixes. Okay, nice. So affixes are of different types. So let's talk now about the types of affixes that we have. Yes, this one here, because it occurs before the root, we call it a prefix. Pre means before. See, that's why we have preparation. Pre, before you appear, l'apparition, before you appear, preparation, before you appear in the exam room, etc. Pre-root, they are pre-roots, yes, Othman, that's true. So this one is a prefix. Prefix. These are things that you know from French. Prefix. This one here is a suffix. Suffix. Yeah, that's why you have pre-test, post-test. Natalie, that's true. In English, we have these, of course. Do we have a prefix in Moroccan Arabic? Yeah, examples, please. Examples of prefixes in Moroccan Arabic. It's the definite article. You have kitab, 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 and liktab. Liktab is the definite. Yes, ra also, because it attaches to namshi. Liktab, it's the definite article because l is the definite article that has to attach. So it's a prefix. Okay? Tiktib, very good. Natalie, tiktib, very good. Yeah, ta'rif is a good case in Arabic because ta'rif in Arabic is not like ta'rif in English. In English, the is a free morpheme. In Arabic, it can't be a free morpheme. Al-Qamariyya and Al-Shamsiyya, they attach to the word. The alif lam, they attach to the word. Okay, so you have those things, you know, تكتب شي حاجة تكتبها تغير الباراجراف تكتب وحده تكتب تشرى تباع إلى آخره. All these, you know, t sounds that occur before the verb or before the noun or whatever, they are referred to as prefixes. Suffixes are, you know, for person, for example, مشت, مشو, okay. مثلا I don't know. It's الفيلة, for example, the at there that you have at the word, you know, at the end of the word. So this is a prefix. This is a suffix. You have them in. You have descansar in Spanish. So Clara is with us. So you have descansar because you have cansado, descansar. So cansar, descansar. So you have this here. You have in Spanish because we have again Clara here. Clairement in French it's claramente. Claramente, that's a suffix mente to show that you have an adverb there. So that's the thing. Yeah. So here we do not talk about, when we're talking about suffix and affix, we do not necessarily mean that they are derived. They can be derivational, they can be, inflectional, depending on the language. But it's just because, so prefix, suffix is about the position in regard to the root. So this one occurs before, this one occurs after. Makhrij, that's a good way. Although, makhrij, is it ma and then qrit and then sh? Yeah, but in Moroccan Arabic, yes, because it's calibrated on the Amazigh language. So it's, you are right. So here it's a prefix and then the other one is a suffix. Yes, that's true. Okay, nice. Can we move on, please? So by the way, you have a prefix, you have a suffix, but there are languages that have an infix. We have, but they are somehow not rare, but all right. My music channel دابا طلع عندي تعليق ديالك ماي ميوزيك شانل. راه جاوبت عليك في شي كومونتيرات قبل، يمكن ما سمعتينيش، مي بون عاود الى عندك شي كومونتير الله يخليك عاود. Nice. Let's move on, please. Look, بلاتي. So you have كتاب, and then you have the diminutive, le diminutive. You see the diminutive. Diminutive هو الصغير. In Spanish, it's realized as a suffix. Now you have a chico, and then you have chiquito. You see, you have a chiquita, I don't know. You have other things anyway. So, kitab, if you want to produce the diminutive, means the تصغير in Arabic, to make it small. So you say ke, te, and then there is something phonological here that happens, but you have something like this. Ktib. So you leave it's. So what is an infix? An infix means you take a word and you divide it into two. You insert something in the middle. You insert, the affix in the middle. So you have this. Bartal, yeah, you have that. Bartital, that's true. Ktib, that's true. So you have all these things. In English, it's unlikely because it's, there are just a couple of words. One of them is vulgar, of course. I cannot say it here. And when you are angry and you have a word and you insert that word in the middle of this, and there are quite a few, but it's not really productive in the English language. So this is what we call an infix. Some languages have what we call a circumfix. Yeah, that's true. Kamal's artistic channel, that's true. You are right. Okay, so we can also talk about a circumfix. A circumfix, in the word circumfix, you have the root or the origin. The root is circum. Circum reminds you of circle. Circle, from there comes circumstance. الظروف المحيطة بنا. Actually, it's not circumstance. Yeah, gespielt, Amina, that means play. In gespielt, that's German. But also in Dutch, you have ge, which is pronounced as ge. For example, gelezen. Ik heb een boek gelezen means I have read a book. Ich habe ein Buch gelesen, something like that. That's the thing, all right? Anyway, so the circumfix, in circumfix indicates spherity, indicates something that surrounds you. That's why we have circumstance, you see? Okay, fix means that this is an affix. It means what? It means that you have a word here, And if you want to put to produce maybe a tense or whatever, well, yeah, it is a Latin, it is of a Latin origin. That's true. So what you do is put something here. Part of the you put a prefix and at the same time a suffix. A good example is the past participle. You know, lesen. Let me say that. Yeah. Let's take a German word. You have the word essen in German, which means eat, to eat, essen. So we say ich esse, ich esse. Okay? Mittagessen. Ich esse der Mittagessen. So, Mittagessen means lunch, okay? So you say ich, it's ich, esse. Du isst, etc. And I have eaten, it's ich habe gegessen. So you have ge, and then you have gegessen. Ge here, and then en. So you have esse as the root, and the past participle in German is produced by adding ge before and n after. And you have it, it's a whole pattern. Ich habe gelesen, that's gelezen in Dutch. In Dutch, there's a difference at a number of levels, of course. Okay? Ich habe das Wasser gedrinkt. Gedrinkt, not gedrinkt. Ich habe das Wasser gedrinkt. G and then T at the end. Avec un T, c'est ماشي un T, c'est un T. You see? Wir haben ein Bericht geschrieben. We have written a letter. Wir haben ein Bericht geschrieben. That's the Dutch one of it. Anyway, so you have languages that have prefixes and suffixes, but the question is, why do we need to go as far as German and Dutch when we have our Amazigh that best illustrates prefixes, circumfixes? Okay, so let's imagine that we have a word like, okay, masculine, feminine. You have what? Give me the example of a nice animal. You see, yeah. So because we are Moroccans, we have to have someone who is a Moroccan like us. We say, I am a Moroccan. We say in Amazigh, "نش دا مغربي." We say that. And if you want to, if it's the woman that speaks, if it's the female, then you have to add t before and t after, and we have a term now that is called tamghrabit. And now it's a word that is used also in Moroccan Arabic. And I'm مفتخر بالتمغربيت ديالي. And you have some words in Arabic بحال تمعلميت, etc. You have those things, etc. You have t before, t after. Here is the general rule. If you want to form a feminine in the Amazigh language, you have to place a prefix. The t, you have to prefix a t, and to suffix it, you obtain a circumfix. This gift, that's true. Thank you. That's very good. You're very productive when it comes to this. Am I clear, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. واخا I am somehow tired. I have a headache, and I just wonder whether we can meet tomorrow. If you want to meet tomorrow, I need a message that clearly states that you need another session on morphology tomorrow, so that we can, deepen our discussion. Yeah, so let me know. I need a message. I cannot come and because I have other things to broadcast, and I may not even come live. But if I receive a message insisting that there is a group that needs, a live session to continue this because we have not finished the rest, we can go ahead and schedule it. صافي؟ يلا. I would like to thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to stop here. It's 2 hours have elapsed. I can do anything you would like to do. So just send me a message. إلا جاوني 2 messages, I will decide. But if إلا جاوني 2 messages هنا 3 messages هنا نمشي مع 3 messages. Ça c'est clair. The rules are clear. Thank you, Sumya. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hanan. Thank you, Si Mustafa, Si Saeed. Barakallahu fikum. Thank you, everyone, including the friends whose names I have not mentioned. Do not forget that if you want to support the channel, of course, you can, after this live ends, you can go and hit the like button, write a comment so that the algorithms will activate. ماشي غير تصنتوا لي وتمشيو. Okay. يلا Hanan, go ahead. يلا. Hanan, you said you have an urgent question. Go ahead, please. Concerning the morphophonomic rules, you have chosen, this is exactly not the time to talk about that. We can talk about it tomorrow. If you have a need, if there is a need, and if you have data, and if you have, I will certainly, inshallah, go live tomorrow to talk about this. This is conditioned by you sending me messages into the Facebook page. أشنو دار لكم؟ صافي؟ غدا إن شاء الله I will come live. I will talk about that. Because it's a whole session. It's not okay. So let me know. أنا ما غاديش نعطيك شوف دابا واخا كنقول لكم yes I will go live. الله يخليكم اللي بغى شي لايف على شي موضوع راه انا هكا صيفط لي الريكويست and I will respond. صيفطوا لي الريكويست. الا لقيت مور ريكويست في سينتاكس غنجي ندير سينتاكس. لقيت مور ريكويست in phonology I will go and do phonology. لقيت ريكويست so please ولا شي واحد كيغوبريزونتي ان جروب يقولها لي ما عنديش مشكل. سي كوم سا صافي. يلا thank you so much. اكوني عون ربي. باي باي.